You can see there, Philly Fed President Charles Plosser was over in Europe yesterday, kind of getting the lay of the land, talking to some folks. One of the folks he talked to was our very own Brian Blackstone. Had an interview with him. It's in the, you can see it online, certainly. I think it's in the paper today, too. The Fed says they can handle it. Brian Blackstone, is the Fed whistling past the graveyard? Can they handle it? Are they prepared for what's going to come out of Europe?
Well, the point that Charles Plosser was making, the head of the Philadelphia Fed, when I interviewed him outside of Frankfurt in Eltville, was basically that there are a lot of unknowns, obviously, about what happens with Greece, but that the Fed has a toolkit that's been in place since the crisis, that they have had a lot of experience in the last few years dealing with various financial crises, and that the Fed is well equipped to deal with contagion from an escalation of the Greek crisis onto the U.S. He basically made 2 points. One is that if it leads to a large-scale freezing of bank funding just because everyone's scared, then that could have an impact on U.S. banks. But it could also lead to the opposite effect, which is that concerns over Europe drive a lot of flows into the U.S. So he was saying there's risks out there, but that in his view, they're manageable risks from the Fed's perspective.
Yeah, and you know, Brian, we've had Charles Plosser on this show. We had him on, I think it was last year. Seems like a very straight shooter, very honest guy. But I have to wonder here if there's a little bit of whistling past the graveyard. I mean, nobody knows exactly what the ramifications are going to be if Europe goes into full-on meltdown mode, if Greece leaves the Eurozone, if Spain implodes. I mean, to some extent, is he really just trying to offer a calming message, kind of just hoping that it works, not really knowing that it'll work?
Well, he was offering a lot of kind of calming words, saying that he expects U.S. GDP growth in the 2.5% to 3% range this year and next year, saying that Americans shouldn't get too worked up over what's going on in Europe, partly, he said, because there's nothing they can do about it, or that the American public can do about it. I mean, he did say that there are unknowns and that Greece is making it, and the Eurozone crisis is making it difficult for the Fed to read the tea leaves on the economy and to see what kind of signals interest rates are giving. So he wasn't saying that, oh, everything is going to be absolutely fine. His point was more that he thinks that the Fed has tools to deal with banking problems in the U.S. that might arise from Greece. Obviously, when in Europe here and listening to a lot of Eurozone officials, they worry a lot about the effect in the Eurozone and the types of spillovers that it could have onto the global financial markets.
Right. And hey, Brian, we have to go soon. I want to ask you quickly, though. Okay, so this is a U.S. central banker talking. Have we heard anything about have we heard anything out of European central bankers this early week about the crisis? What's sort of going on there?
We haven't heard anything from them early in the week. You get some different views in Europe, which is kind of you've seen kind of throughout the crisis, kind of different voices. You hear the Bundesbank in their latest monthly report talking about the risks of an escalation of a Greek crisis being manageable if there's a good crisis response. You have other ECB officials who say we shouldn't be messing with something where you don't know what the consequences are. So you get a little bit of a mixed message from Europeans on how the contagion might unfold from Greece.